3 years. It's been 3 years since I last uploaded on this channel. And for a while I really thought that last video would be the last time I ever uploaded on here. But something happened a while back and I want to talk about that before we get into the meat of the video. Of course, if you're only interested in the drawing section you can skip right ahead. But I have a feeling some of you will benefit from what I'm about to talk about. So, art. Art is hard. I don't think anyone will disagree with that statement. There is so many things to do to get good at art. It's a confusing mess of fundamentals and theory that you need to learn with no clear path whatsoever, and it can all sometimes feel too overwhelming to even keep track of. Nowadays, the gift of having so many resources can also end up being a curse. I realized that I had been wasting so much time just watching tutorial videos and being like, hey, I get it, without actually applying what I had been taught on said video. This was definitely hindering my progress on art, but that doesn't even begin to compare to the real revelation I had. Before anything else, I would like to quickly introduce myself. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a middle-of-the-road type of artist. What's that, you may ask? Oh, you know the answer. It's the type of artist that when they show you a drawing of theirs, you go somewhere along the lines of, oh, that looks okay, and you move on. The piece they work hours upon hours that they just show you, leaving your brain almost as fast as it entered it. I mean, hell, you can probably tell by the pieces I'm showing you right now, but you don't remember the first one already. It wasn't a super bad drawing, but it was off in a way. I think this is one of the worst spots any artist can find themselves in. Feeling like perhaps you hit the ceiling of your potential with art. Feeling that you simply don't have it in you to ever reach the people that you admire and want to be like one day. This suffocating feeling made me give up in taking art seriously. It became this thing I would do sometimes. I stopped trying to improve, trying to reach new frontiers. That was at least until something changed. I watched a YouTube video. And you probably don't notice, but I think it's my signature at this point that a YouTube video changes my entire view of the world. I am quite influenceable like that, so I have probably been fed more propaganda than I would like to admit. Anyways, let's talk about the video, shall we? It will be a disservice to paraphrase what he said on the video, so please watch this clip with me, alright? And please check the full video in the description below, cause it's filled with so many things that might help you if you've been stuck like me.
A lot of artists just end up ignoring the most fundamental advice given to them because they think they already know it, or it sounds so simple that it's practically useless. Your perspective on how to improve as an artist is too influenced by what you personally desire, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when you learn what art fundamentally is, all of this shit becomes 10 times easier to do.
When I watched that, it all finally clicked. This was the thing I was missing. Whenever I use reference, whenever I'm trying to learn something, whenever I'm doing anything related to art, I always felt like there was this massive boulder I couldn't get past, like I was still missing some parts of the language of art itself, and this was all of it. I wasn't deconstructing art to its actual core, shapes, line values, space, and so on. I wasn't learning the true fundamentals of art. And what are all the fundamentals, you ask? Well, here they are. Yes, they are a lot. No, I will not explain. Trust me, I think it's for the better right now, since they are just so damn many. Okay, so that's great and all, but how am I supposed to learn this? I know myself and I need a tangible way of seeing some progress, so I don't give up halfway. Like I said, I have been on these trenches for a while now, so I know how it works. So as a solution, I invented this. Well, invented is too much credit here. I adapted the schedule that Mark Burnett shows in this video, link in the description below. But it's not a one-on-one and I might change this depending on the fundamental I'm studying. Okay, now we can actually begin. With these 15 elements combined together and a schedule, I finally had a map and a compass I could use to maybe climb this mountain I stopped trying to reach the peak of a long time ago. For many years I kept putting excuses to myself. I kept letting my overthinking win. I tainted art for myself, and I gave up on climbing. I gave up on myself, really. I am not proud of the time I wasted, of the time I used fearing it all. But now after all this time I have another chance. 15 elements of art, each one as brutal as the last one. Can I pull this off, and for once and for all, climb this damn mountain and see the other side? That's right, I'm starting with values because I'm a psychopath. Also, because I really want to do something like this at some point. And before I would have said, well, that's clearly impossible. What the hell am I even talking about? And honestly, it might be. But I think there's a lot I can learn here to get closer to pieces like this. So how do they work? The first step of the week plan is to look up the concept, so let's do that. Value is pretty much how light or dark a color is. That's literally it. The real challenge comes from knowing how dark and light each value of the piece should be. Well, it all depends on the light source of said piece, of course. I think the perfect way to show this is with a ball. Yeah, you've probably seen this damn ball a million times, but this is truly the best way to talk about this concept, so follow along please. Let's start with the shadows first, or shades as some might call them. This is the part where the light won't be hitting the ball at all, so that means the values are darker. First is the form shadow, which can be understood as the shadow on the actual object. This will help us get the form of said object. After that there's the cast shadow, which is not on the object but rather the shadow that the object is creating on the floor from the light it's blocking. Then we got the reflected light, which is the light that gets reflected from the floor into the shadow itself, making it a bit brighter. And I know what you may be thinking, shouldn't this be in the light section then? I mean, it's a light, right? Well, it's important to remember that no matter how light the reflected light is, it will never be lighter than any value from where the light is actually hitting. Our eyes might make us think that it is, but once you color pick you can see that's not the case at all. Then we got the light section, also called the tints, where we have the midtones, which are the values that are still light, but are gradually losing it. They are closer to light and shadow, and this is very important to remember. Then it's the light part, which is where the light is hitting more prominently, and at the center of that it's the highlight, which is exactly where the light is hitting and is the lightest value from the entire thing. A lot of stuff, I know, but for the sake of simplicity, let's omit a few things and turn it to just light, midtones and shadows. How about that? Why, you may ask? Well, surprisingly enough, you can get away with showing form with just these three alone. If you can represent a drawing with these three values, then you clearly have a good understanding of how values work in the first place. Okay, enough yapping, let's take this one off and go into the drawings. So first I started doing a few drawings from imagination just to see how well I already knew this concept, and as you can see we started off already bad by me not having the confidence to go with no lines and simply represent the drawings with the values alone. Anyways, here's the end result. Yeah, it's not good. It's mild, muddy, but most importantly there is not enough contrast between the lights and shadows. I did realize that looking back on some art I have done. So much shading time wasted because the drawing simply looks bad with not enough contrast. If you tweak it a bit you have a much better result, so this part wasn't in vain after all. Okay, let's move on to a harder part of the time. Real life studies. This is where the real suffering began. God, where do I even begin? Having to deconstruct the entire human beings with clothes was not easy, let me tell you. And I was trying to keep it rather simple, mind you, do not go overboard with the details, since in this step the main thing was to actually learn how to simplify. You will hear me using that word a lot. Simplify this to its main light, midtone and shadow values. And I suffered a lot. What the actual hell is this? This feels like an error in the Matrix, to be honest. This drawing is so damn out of my skill level, you would think I traced it had I not had this video reference as proof. And I don't want to toot my own horn here, but this one alone made me realize that perhaps I do have what it takes to one day get close to my favorite artist. It gave me a glimpse of what I could do if I work hard. And then the next drawing came and I really started to feel like I was learning a lot from these value stories. I was learning how to deconstruct the photo into shapes that I could then represent with just my three values, Oh my god, maybe from now on all my drawings will look like this, and... Well, it had to end somewhere, I guess. Let's keep going. There it is. Pain, sweat and tears, but we had finished them. In the third day. Yes, third day complete. This all just took one day. Okay, so the best way to learn art is to not draw one thing once and then move on, but rather draw a thing, analyze what is wrong with it, and then draw it again. So that's exactly what this day was all about. I would go back to my images I had already done, except now I would trace over the photo with just the 3 values I'm using to see how accurate the shapes I did were. I analyzed them, and since this would be easier now with the shapes there at my disposal, I felt like adding as much detail as I could. The results? Much better than day 3. I didn't do it with all of them since I was already so far behind schedule, but I have to say it was finally starting to click just how much fun you can show with 3 values alone. Overall good day. Yes, day. Definitely not more. Shut up. Okay, this is the part that I have been waiting for. Learning from your favorite artist. Now, I already knew who I would be stealing all of their secrets from. Quasarcake. Quasarcake? I'm so sorry for butchering your name. This person right here is one of the people at my top when I think of godlike art. The way they draw these beautiful rendered pieces. God, I just love how they use light and shadow. So, that's exactly what I set out to learn from them. First thing that I noticed was that the contrast is super important in their pieces. The way they flawlessly go from super dark values to super light ones is what makes their pieces pop so much. Well, one of the things at least, cause let's be honest, these pieces right here are the results of years and years of mastery, not something you can simply replicate. Okay, probably the most fun I had in this entire learning process, to be honest. God, I just wanna marry their pieces of art. Okay, enough fanboying. Did I learn something? Oh yeah, a lot actually. I realized that all of the details don't matter as much as I think they do. If you have a really good solid base, you can make the drawings good too. I mean, I just used 3 values and look how my drawings ended up. They are good cause I'm following their shape pattern and overall style. It's crazy how well the values are used on their pieces. I know it's a bit ironic that my favorite part was the shortest, but I felt I had gotten enough grasp to finally jump to the final climb of this hill. Create a piece of my own using everything I had learned so far. The final boss in the first mountain I had climbed. I decided to go with a piece of Furina from Genshin Impact because I love her design, and I picture a piece of her blocking out the sun with her hand could look not just beautiful and elegant, but also I would have a lot of contrast, making it so that the light value and shadow values would really pop. And without any more excuses, I dived into my first full render drawing in years. there you had it. Now, this drawing is still missing a lot of things, I won't lie. Like, it would look so much better if it had better lines, but at least when it came to the way I used values, I was happy with it. I felt like I truly had learned something from all the value studies I had done at this point. So I can happily say that the first mount hill of this mountain was successfully climbed. God, that was not easy, huh? And the road is still long and looks super dangerous. But being here, it's important to remember that you need to celebrate a lot of your tiny successes, okay? Listen, art is in fact hard. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. You will probably feel like quitting a lot, and maybe you will at some point. Maybe someone watching this already did a long time ago, like I did, but do not worry. If you haven't drawn in a while, you can't really escape art. It will come back into your life one way or another, and the passion will come back even if it's in another way, in another medium. You are an artist, so I have no doubt in my mind you will end up creating art. It's in our blood after all. And hey, if you keep at it, maybe we can see each other from our own mountains one day, huh?